thinker. Okay, Mark, take it away. We're ready to roll.
All right, rockers and rollers. Fantastic to see you. Um, yeah, I mean, what we're facing at the moment is something virtually indescribable in the history of human civilizations in so many ways. Um, and this anthology is a small expression of that, but I think an important one, just like to get things rolling. Winter in America. And we're so delighted today to have reading from the anthology Matthew Cooperman, Aby Kaupang, Mark Nowak, Rodrigo Toscano, and Fred War. So thank you guys for dedicating your time to this. Just, I mean, if even one person starts to change their way of thinking through reading one of our poems, that's great, My dream was always that the world would finally kind of like coalesce, and I know this is many people's dreams, into kind of a multi-egalitarian, totally open society to any form of human being, and that would lead the government of the world in future. I think eventually it will happen. Unfortunately, I think we have to go through these catastrophes as we face them at the moment in order to get there. This is my hopeful self. I'm so delighted, though, that we can host this fantastic reading tonight. And before we start with the features, I'm going to introduce one of our co-hosts, Jeffrey Cyphers Wright, who received his MFA studying with Allen Ginsberg. He's known as a new romantic poet, also a publisher, critic, eco-activist, impresario, filmmaker, puppeteer, and artist. He is the author of 19 books of verse, including Blue Lyre and Party Everywhere. Jeffrey's poems have appeared in the Cafe Review, New American Writing, the Brooklyn Rail, and many others, including Best American Poetry, New York Insiders, and his latest work is a book of sonnets and artwork called Doppelgangster, which is out from my own Mad Hat Press. Jeff recently won the Sir Vision James Tate Prize, and he publishes Live Mag.
You're still muted and we can't hear your dulcet tones.
Jeffrey sent a message saying that he can't chime in. He might have some trouble with the sound or something.
Okay. So then we'll move on to Cassandra Atherton, right?
Yeah, why not? Throw me.
And Cassandra Atherton is an award-winning prose poet and international expert on prose poetry. Her prose poetry is widely anthologized and has been translated into many languages, including Japanese, Chinese, and Korean. She's published more than 30 books and is currently writing an illustrated book of prose poetry on the Hiroshima Maidens with funding from the Australia Council. Cassandra co-wrote Prose Poetry and Introduction and co-edited the Anthology of Australian Prose Poetry, and she is also commissioning editor for Westerly Magazine and professor of writing and literature in Melbourne, Australia.
I love that accent. It's pretty close, actually. If you want to become an Australian, come on down. I would like to thank Roxy and the editors so much for this anthology. It's what's needed in the world. Australians have loved it. I've taken it into staff meetings. I've taken it into class. They think, it's full of incredible examples of what poetry can do and should do. So a big thank you. And I'm going to read. I was lucky enough to have a co-written poem with Paul Hetherington accepted for that anthology. So I'm going to read that this morning. Well, this morning in Australia. It's in two parts. 1. Drinking margaritas in the bar of the Lenox Hotel, we dreamed of a future without global warming. Touching fingers, we had been chasing notions of love around a rim of salt and lime. As the bartender upended glasses in a tray of crushed ice, we spoke of the melting of Antarctica and of water climbing the steps of Venice's Rialto Bridge. On election night, with the TV shouting slogans, we stripped naked, feeling the evening's air thickly upon us in a room that dreamed of liberty as a crossing of waters. When the Star-Spangled Banner played in a downstairs room, I wondered how many people still put their hands on their hearts. We lay on the bed, our intimacy surrendered to a map's patches of red. 2. Drinking martinis in the bar of the Lenox Hotel, you combed mauve light from my hair while we made lists of what we loved about America. I scrawled on a napkin, blue plate specials, white gravy, baseball, the Martin's Tavern booth where JFK proposed to Jackie, red velvet cake, cherry pie, clam chowder, the changing of the guard at the tomb of the unknown soldier. You wrote, heavy pause and the pronunciation of aluminium. After a long pause, you added CVS, Hershey's Kisses, and astronaut ice cream at the Smithsonian. After the election, we stopped making lists. When you breathe the American dream down my spine, I touch the hollow of my belly and ask, how is this possible? I would like to introduce Mark Vincennes. Join in if you know parts of the bio. It's been a little while. Mark Vincennes is an Anglo-Swiss American poet, a fiction writer, translator, editor, publisher, designer, multi-genre artist, and musician. He has published many books of poetry, translations, and fiction, including more recently The Pearl Diver of Irun-Mani, The King of Prussia is Drunk on Stars, and The Mayfly Codex. Forthcoming poetry collections are Spells for the Wicked with Unlikely Books, Ironclad with Spite and Dival, All the Tricks of Language with Dos Madres Press, and No More Animal Poems with White Pine Press. A limited edition chapbook, Rocket Ship to the Andromeda Galaxy, was just released. Mark is also a prolific translator, and he translates from German, Romanian, Spanish, Icelandic, and French. He's published 12 books of translations, most recently an Audible Blue Selected Poems 1963 to 2016 by award-winning Swiss poet and novelist, you remember it's Klaus Mertz, and it won the 2023 Massachusetts Book Prize for Translated Literature. Here's something special. His newest book of translations, In the House, Still Light by Klaus Mertz, is forthcoming in the fall. His own work has been translated into many languages, including Japanese, Chinese, Russian, French, Italian, Spanish, Romanian, Greek, German, and Icelandic. He is currently working on a novel entitled The Age of Occasions. Vincennes is editor and publisher of Mad Hat Press and publisher of New American Writing. Here we go, people. He's lived all over the world, from Brazil to China to Iceland to India. He was born in Matilda Hospital on the Peak in Hong Kong, but he now lives on a farm in rural western Massachusetts, overlooking Herman Melville's Greylock Mountain, Melville's inspiration for Moby Dick, where there are still more eastern ribbon snakes, four-toed salamanders, and northern red-bellied cooters than bipedal earthlings. Mark! I love a four-toed salamander, but I'll love a poem from you even more.
I prefer a three-toed, but anyway. The Strong Man's Diptych. Act 1. Striking the balance of power. Whatever you do in business, you can always smooth things along by deftly offering a little nudge. A green-tinted bottle of something sparkly and fabulous, the carton of your very own backhanded best. You can, in the eyes of a beholder, be beholden. You may also strike a balance despite your own misgivings and reach out into the most mosquito-infested frontiers and discover their fieriest armpits, the wow in their factor of 80 or 4, or when besieged, another one in 3 or 4, and 7 palms greased, or simply stand on your head, reciting flowering polemic and crude rhetoric or calling upon their memes and their plebes, you may discover everything you've divested in diverges somewhere at the edge. You work in a sense of drama you can call upon. At any given instant, live bait works best. At some stage, you might want to let slip the truth, but no one will even know, since it is considered to be fluff, fake news, or faulty propaganda. And night and day, whatever and whomever touch with those golden fingers will be singing to your missives all night long. Act 2. A second, more succinct security apparatus. Divest. Spread things around a little bit. Hedge, nudge, and fudge. Put forward principles that speak to a common people. Own your own penis and gallop poles. Own your own tightwad of cash. Spread them around munificently, and everyone's economic will shall upswing. They say, though you can't question your rulers, you may rumble in your deep sleep. And even though eye contact is difficult to sustain, the short-term implications are endless. Those in the long loop know everything is a teary-eyed bullet train or a wide-eyed rocket ship everyone wants to leap aboard. But then, when it is stalling, they scramble for a deep break. Who, after all, is not transnational and simply transactional? Let us leverage all this for our healthy benefit. Everything for our healthy benefit. And now I am delighted to introduce our first reader of the evening in our American Winter, Matthew Cooperman, who's the author of most recently The Atmosphere is Not a Perfume, It is Odorless, from Free Verse Editions, and Wonder About the, winner of the Halicon Prize from Middle Creek, as well as NOS, Disorder Not Otherwise Specified, with Aby Kaupang from Future Poem, Spool, winner of the New Measure Prize, and other books. His ninth book, Time, and its monument, is forthcoming from Station Hill Press. Matthew is the founding editor of the exploratory prose journal Quarter After 8, and he is also a professor of English at the Colorado State University and co-poetry editor of Colorado Review. Matthew lives in Fort Collins with his wife, the poet Aby Kaupang. Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you to Cassandra, to Jeff, to Roxy for putting this amazing anthology together that I'm very pleased and honored to be a part of. I'm going to read from the latest book, The Atmosphere is Not a Perfume, It is Odorless, which came out this year and yet was a durational project that took me nearly 20 years to write, and somehow ended up speaking to exactly this political moment. Snow Globe. It was January 6th. I was 6 years old, which would have made it the 60s, and it was snowing. Snow filling trash cans like ashtrays. Ma and Pa distantly fighting the giant snowstorm. I jellied the donut in my fist and dragged my Cheeto fingers over the walls of the igloo. Quiet murmur of voices muted by the snowy insulation. snowy machinery, a blue sky blower somewhere else dreaming of sun. Here it is snowing and my snow castle is growing cold, cold like white poodles falling from the sky, cold like Conrad Aiken killing his children. I am watching silent snow, secret snow, all alone. Orson Welles booming about snow, the igloo growing close, an undone cave. Rosebud. Snow that seems miles away growing close on a sled. Snow like the subject of Bean battling the poem. Squid versus whale, Firebird versus Camaro, Turgenev versus the wolves, Ahab, etc. All heavenly white machinery made in a snowy world. It was the 60s, and it was snowing. The book's an extended ode sequence, and I'll read a little bit of that, a few of those. This is from No Ode. 1. The infinite cast and the soluble membrane, the papers of a wasp. Earth has nothing I desire beside you. Not a hand, nor a bird, nor a bicycle, never the one for delay. Systole, remembering the days of his youth, it was baboom, not happening, as in square, baboom, the box, not the sense of style, but the sense of impending monument. A cruising altitude of 30,000 feet is not anywhere close to heaven. Never sky. A place where nothing ever happened. On a Wednesday at the Capitol, something did happen. Not the dream again deferred, not the righteous bear, not the know-nothing snake, just the sickening spell of blood. In this way, wound, green not happening, bad harvest, knots of locust, a western piring of all scrublands, so as to speech the lily goeth, so as to seed the gentle deer goeth. In the bare trees after the late storm, there was one thing, a dead cardinal, against some things, large pines, against everything, a snow tableau. Call it what you will, a man at a window. Threshold, in my head, the great debate of worth and self-loathing. In the Mayan calendar, a constellation of zeros in the 21st century. Zot, king of rendering, and self, queen of disease. Yet in Gerald Stern, a benign fibrosity, and an attachment to old felt, and a memory of coal dust, and the color of blue lentils, some metonyms against the void. Not motive or asseveration, not a result of living this experiment, but living together, every lab a vial filled. Not a sea full of oil, nor an office full of bluster, not a corporation, nor the October morning moving to incorporate a neighborhood. Astor Place, not status, a marble salute and an incoming bomb. Who is wearing an impervious hat? Come toward me now, my no generation, the image of less from space as we're moving away. This is a poem largely constructed out of General MacArthur's speeches, called General Syntax. A better world shall emerge on account of this. A general is just as anybody, events, places, things I could tell you to make a nerve end squeal. Age wrinkles the body, withers the tone. I want so much to become meaningful, meaning to be understood. The events, places, things which relay force. Always there has been some loss on some shore. Americans never quit, 24/7 openness. We will be prepared to say something, do things. I am an old soldier and so see war from far away. I mean this literally, as I am on Venus watching the unusual gas activity on Earth. Always there are interests about. Build me a sun, I say, and I will show you a river. There, in my dreams, I hear footsteps, crying, the green rustle of reeds. In war, there is no victor if you consider the reeds. The sedges, by contrast, were always on the up and up, unless we slept there. It is fatal to enter the sedges, and it is part of life. Life is a lively process to fail winningly. I mean victory. You win some, and you wake up with a deep feeling, and as far as anybody is concerned. As far as anyone is concerned, life is a lively process, as is empathy. Syntax you'll have to do yourself. Like an old soldier marching everyone into the tomb, age wrinkles the body. Our government has kept us within borders, as do governments do by law. Part of the American dream is in the borders where they hover. The best of luck is to be born into some kind of dream. The soldier above all others is an American who never quits. The soldier above all others waves his bayonet. The world is in a quandary over unusual gas activity. Interests lie. Oh, build me a sun toward openness. There is no security on earth. These poems just feel so ironic now, given the world. Let's see what we got here. There's a poem called Late Music. Feeling the lonesome sky on the long drive home, you make it so. First frost and the black-eyed Susans staring, apparently. Existence precedes essence, he said, we say. Soon you will feel a foreboding in the winter you have conceived. Pain in the belly, a weather map of the eastern seaboard, organ music grinding the Messiah, a boy building an igloo covered in powder. The wind howls ominously, see? Rain follows fire, turns to snow of ash. White, what have we done to civilization? There is no snowman you have not rolled from memory. Naturally, you can't always be reasonable. Humanism is what humans do. Wash the blood from your hands, walk to the distant farmhouse covered in crows. Spring, pack, make a pact, choose murder, lust, compassion, shame. There is no thing as not choosing. Another one of the odes I'll read a piece of. It's a long poem. It's the title poem. The title comes from Whitman. If it sounded really good, it's because it came from Whitman. The atmosphere is not a perfume. It is odorless. But we smell it anyway, methane, CH4, the ambient nose of combustible fuels driving from the airport, not old Stapleton, charmed now to brand spanking condos, coming home to Colorado in the aftertime, and the bland tan buildup of roadside derricks I notice, and the hay bales surrounding them like hay bales, Monet style almost, except they're a wall, a distraction, scrim, not grass at all, but view shed blocked. Disagreeable landscape pastoralized, disambiguation, whatever that keeps meaning. Painful as a sort of self, not object being object, not grass being eaten by an ass or cow. A material betrayal I feel in the pumping of your dark heart, productive and shining in the late afternoon plume, a blue-green of effluence titrated by a curated thirst. Holy, lowly recognition, carbon we've been had. Still, I'm low on gas, I must hope. A substance held in the image of a balloon memory. The red balloon, floating in a clear French sky. Innocence being lost or being found out. My sense of time goes in and out of phase with what must be yours. I know it. I feel it dispersed and sometimes not dispersed, as if I am gas also speaking to you, which of course I am, the punchline of poetry. Are we always going to go over how I or you or we do not do or do not smell the haloing over the front range? Home on the burner, boiling up the ether. We might jam the aliens. Who is they? The score sheets out, the action's evanescent. Coal is a black or brownish black sedimentary rock formed as strata called coal seams, plant matter, time, peat, heat, pressure over millions of years. Former wetlands become coal forests, progress easy to steam way after the Pennsylvanian and Permian climbs. In other words, slippery. I didn't notice the smell last time we drove from DIA. Seen once an endless tall grass prairie, again a series of sails or a caravan of Conestoga wagons. Another inspiration of repackaged empire hugging the eastern horizon like dancing autolot dolls. Sail or sail. Do I have to say it? Material discovery turned into lost baggage. No need to conflate the smell of eggs into another thumb of odes. Hyperobjects are your organs, which by and large thrill me. churning at the mantle, making need and want the same daily anxiety. Will there be enough? And I'll end with the poem that is in the anthology called Appears, Disappears. Different world, what enables us to live and be a better race? The ordinary shoves up against the monumental. There, a summer darkness enlapses the city. A red fox appears, disappears in the sulfurous glow. A woman cleans up a piece of cake. Our job is to be both epic and tiny, between us the partially obscured. Later, a sun over Maryland, and we neither mesmerized nor bored. Postcards, memories of crowds, nor especially frightened, the little man sweeping the sidewalk. A local version of asymmetrical warfare. These things take time. We must attend and work. We cannot avoid global tensions, the harms of the various climes. We have many common causes here on Earth, poverty and privilege, both an inheritance of childhood. Water and the need for cake, we riot together and clean the streets. Goodwill on both sides, no sides. Our target was home and others. Now we are monsters, trumped of all concern. Not everyone is a monster. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matthew. Of course, not everyone is a monster, but let's now hear from Aby Kaupang, whose recent works include Radiant Teether from Verge and There's You Still Thrill Hour of the World to Love, which was chosen by Brenda Hillman, and NOS, disorder not otherwise specified, with Matthew. Working outside of academia, Aby practices an occupational therapist specializing in the treatment of neurodivergent and special needs children. So Aby also lives in Fort Collins, Colorado, where she assists in organizing an annual book event and hosts the reading series Every Eye, and has served as a poet laureate. Aby can be found on abykaupang.com. Aby Kaupang. Welcome, Aby.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you to everyone who helped make this possible today. I just stole Matthew's computer, so full disclosure, he's my husband and my computer's not working. Want to read to you tonight, actually first from an older book, Little G God Grows Tired of Me. Just 3 poems inspired by Strom Thurmond, because who needs a poem more than Strom Thurmond? All right. Strom hopes he's a feathery thing. Strom needs every day, and to be a good day, for a deal. Ours, the stray and the struth and the slight, a new deal. He who buys into segregation buys modernity. The front porch taser, the forehead tent, the nano comfort. Nobody knows it, but Thurman's so sad. The beginning of love, he muses, is a feeding tube on the sly. He fingers a name in the soot. It takes a pillage to sing a strong song, a village to make a nation gross. The national product, it's gross. Strom looks at it from both sides, 2 sides now, from X's and O's, and still somehow it's personal illusions, Strom recalls. Style, still Strom. Mile, whoa, down now, buddy. There's a pony in Strom, a stallion among us. Strom days are roses. We are very strom. It's a way of keeping the flesh at bay. Stromland security. A baby cries herself out. We acquire a bridge, singe a bridge. We are older. No rest, no peas in the queue. Listen to the Thurman on the mount. He says to her back, should we get tattoos, you and I? To the door. Together? Strumming my heart with her fingers. She would throw mugs. Strom-diddy, 3 times. Another round of goat songs. I just have to say, I love Roxy's smile. I would read to just Roxy alone for that little feedback loop. Sit here at night and write poems to Roxy. That's my next book, Poems for Roxy. All right. One more poem for you. And this one's from Radiant Tether. It's a collaborative book I wrote with a poet and a man who joined the army and then became a priest. And this is sort of a call and response poem between the two of us. And he would prefer to be unnamed at this point, as he is primarily a priest, if that's how you say it. I'll think about that later. The Lord loves us and will not help us. The Lord loves the mountains and burns them. The Lord loves us and will not end suffering. The Lord loves the mountains, makes his temple there. God is a mystery, mystery, the only God. Hate unmoored from rough ground. By rough ground is meant paved streets, piles of rock-hard snow, boulders left after the plow pushes through, silent aspens where air is filled with a wait for a grouse. There is gold light. By hate is meant slapping and crying and believing you broke a rule, or ignoring a statement to keep all the world off, or watching without a gesture, unmoored, rough hate is smoothed over, crystalline the calculated fleece, unspotted. God is unmoored, tethers ripped out. God is unmoored hate. Even in necessity and completeness leaves the world afloat. There's to be found in the world no necessity. A Latin analysis of language suggests that necessary is ne es are, no progress to make, not walk beside to. I walk with him and I talk with him and I tell him he is my Lord. In the mathematical sense, which is a salvific model of logic, the truth is just what we find as we are finding it. Here, things are. God, I lose my mind, but here is the saddest thing. We have never recovered a mind. We do not ever recover minds. For all the talk, the mind is gone. It goes, leaving winter. More is that the mind was often even there. Fanfare rushes in, and drowned by oboes, is bigger than fanfare, but the Lord does love fanfare for the ear and leaves me drown. Off to analysis. Cognizance is emptying, blocking, or I say deafness, non cogito, non possum cogitare. Necessary thought expresses or acknowledges what is resisted thought, what is forced or irritated it into being cannot be conjured, or it is artifice. From here on, there is only is meant. By believing you broke a rule, is ignoring the slapping, aerial cognizance, and crying and believing is unsoiled fleece. There was very little to do there. There was very little to say. There was the past, there was now, there was going to be, there was, but here I have to go ache. Some enter by swinging over a stream seamless, some by no thinking, nilling and dripping, some insatiability. There is solely winging and light parting and a passing through it. So make an object out of sorrow and place the sorrow object on the ladder that hangs all space. It is made of light. Let it shudder. This is to say clearly, violence is a sign of a very tired mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Aby. next we hear from Rodrigo Toscano, who is a poet who lives in New Orleans and the author of 11 books of poetry. His latest books are The Cut Point from Counterpath, The Charm and the Dread from Fence, and forthcoming is Whitman Cannonball Puebla from Omni Dawn, and many other books, including Enrage, Explosion Rocks, Springfield, Deck of Deeds. Well, Rodrigo, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Thanks. Good to see everybody. I'm going to read about 9 minutes worth of sonnets. It's from a new manuscript that I just finished, 100 sonnets written in 100 days. Just finished a few weeks ago. Okay, so this one is called New Stance. Quiet punches in the gut, quiet pain, quiet soothing from intimates, or worse, no soothing from no one, an added punch, quietly endured, straight from the rule book. You could make this place plenty socialist, but that's against the prime directive, so make of it what you can. Perhaps Purdy, straight from the rule book, elementally, the magic of half quiet from the gut and out the butt. Sorry for the crudeness. Sorry for the lack of decorative poise. Sorry for the gong of the working class. Sorry, but not really, for the new stance, like a Scott Joplin rag when you need it. Salvage Nation. Like a J.S. Bach fugue when you need it, the comrade's power for staying quiet in the face of grandiose fabrications, calumny of despoiling the people, the alleged mandate only increased until the moment to speak like thunder to the matter at hand. Who gets to thrive? And never swerving from that, but instead weaving in lines of cause and consequence, point by point on top of points, harmonic, conceiving transition for what's to do, tying up loose ends, leaving behind clues, paths to even higher resolution in the forging of the salvage nation. Cognizance. Oh my God, it's the Phoenicians again, rowing into view, tasked with metaphor, the OGs of trade and commerce, lingo, setting up the scene nicely for Romans, peeking over their hills, replete with shields. They'd harp on the vanities of the world, Roman bards, conquest-speaking pieties, and the rigid customs of their culture, who's a slave to whom, who's acting proper, surely made things worse, and so tragedy, wrapped in comedy, held their attention, which brings us to President McKinley, an old-style imperialist way to be, revived in our time, but for scattered ears. Imperium too. But English itself was losing power while reclaiming dominion over us. So everything went from weird to weirder as declamation became all the rage. Just as level, red cosplaying took hold, everyone an expert, an ethics crank, a shoeless pilgrim trudging up a hill, a healer, a shrink, slag heaps of counsel in English against itself, there to help. But it was bestial bards who turned it down as pillars of jargon came crashing down. There, among the broken copes of stagecraft, a sort of salvage poetics sprung forth, one that functionaries couldn't quite quash. Freak flag. Something about femurs and elections and a pelvis bone and debt bondage schemes and a skull and time management trackers. What else? Yes, the billions for client states and 10 metacarpals and stock buybacks, but let those objects lie for a bit. Notice thoughts ramble without a thinker, every single word its own chronicler. Then fly your freak flag, pick up the pieces, build the body poetic, here and now, something about post-empire survival, the gold gloss on everything, chipping off, something about hardy minds holding fast, and high-tech oligarchs in cuffs and chains. Over that hill were another people, and we learned that they did many things better. And many among us didn't like that. And some of us tried to stymie those folks. But over the hill people forged on, just went with their thing, striving to improve. So much they started helping other folks, building dams, railway lines, and hospitals, and made some of us even more mad. So much we forged a whole language for mad. And it told us to topple what we'd built. And when things started to look real shitty, we turned neighbor on neighbor to find fault. Some of us, though, were eager to learn. Beignets. Beignets are these like little breads that they sell in New Orleans. They're like fried with a lot of sugar on them. Beignets. Beignets fluffed into shape deserve a line, just like the People's Congress in China. Do we have any objections so far? Okay. Who's doing the fluffing and frying? And who's caking them beignets in sugar, powdery mounds into happy gullets? The farming machines and its live helpers, and Jack Boudreau and Leticia Garza. 600 million pulled from poverty, from neighborhood clubs to regional hubs, the Congress responsive to the demos. Jack, on the brink of living in his car. Leticia, on the lookout for agents. And the kiddos deserve a million lines. Labor Party. The great national anger then gave way, mostly from fatigue, but also reason, in that nothing worked. And folks remembered those times when it wasn't all enemies, the cause of every trouble, big and small. Those times when they felt to be constructive in small steps towards more reliable lives, less battered by the forces of rank greed, less harried by hourly shows of strength from piracies demanding loyalty. But besides people sourcing memories, they began to stoke fanciful futures and so confronted the present chaos, building a labor party, piece by piece. Ceasefires. We thought the Grand Canyon was paradise, or not paradise, but filled with wonder, until the ceasefires, every single one. We gasped, mouths open, at a loss for words. Yellowstone and the Costa Maya sucked compared to the ceasefires, every last one. We need something more than wonder, we thought. We need fucking peace, you Gorgons, listen, and so forth. Life was better than before, the very second after those rare sights. And we felt it. Everybody felt it. In their gut, their bones, in their throbbing hearts. And as clouds passed over that great canyon, we simply took a breath, the first one in years. Flesh. It's imperative we keep flesh intact. We don't want perforations, abrasions, or undue irritations marring it. We also want to guard coloration or whatever hue hones to its nature. The smallest capillaries must breathe free. When a breeze fans it, we love the perk up. When flesh grazes it, we love the perk up, the heat or cold of curiosity. It's imperative we keep flesh intact. Painters, if they ever make the comeback, might plumb flesh, flush out commonality. Poets, if they ever make the comeback, might suture flesh, restore integrity. It's Sunday. She wants to shut it all out, the violence, the arrogance of rulers, that screeching, never-ending rattle of empty words. She wants to run purposefully towards a verdant valley of happy souls or to some demon lover by moonlight. She wants to want openly, without traps, as on a desert of red sand, naked, in the cool dawn of undulant mercy. She wants to make bread or write a novel, be detailed, artful, and free of worry, like seashore foam fizzing out at sundown. She wants, most of all, to stop the wanting and blend into a vintage shop's blouse rack. Two more. Charms. It's a charmed life when your pets are healthy. Charm knock on a charm door looking for charm. When children on your street are running free, charm was greeted by charm and welcomed in. When old people are well taken care of, charm was offered honey chocolate babkas. When your home is secure and can live there, charm reached into its bag, offering dates. When your neighbor's not sick with avarice, charm was immensely charmed by the exchange. When barbed wire walls aren't the grim master, charm thanked charm again and moseyed on home. When you've a million friends you've never met, charm slipped into bed and slept peacefully. 2090 CE. They'll be playing. They'll be shouting orders. They'll be ignoring them. They'll be cheery. They'll be breaking things of certain value. Their days will end on them in slow motion, each with an epic to relate, each tired, forgetting most of the epic, each done. They'll be fidgeting with lonely objects, things of little known value, epic things, absorbing commands, all of them ignored. The nights will envelop them in strange sounds. Their blankets will turn into fortress walls. The stars will be as friends, ever awake. They'll be wandering in blackened canyons. They'll be finding passageways to others. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Beautiful, Rodrigo. Absolutely beautiful. And so next we hear from our old friend Fred Waugh, who lives in Vancouver in the West Kootenays. His writing includes Diamond Grill, a biofiction about growing up in a small town in a Chinese-Canadian cafe, Sentence to Light, which collaborations with visual artists is Adore, a series of poems about hybridity and scree. The collected earlier poems, 1962 to 1991. And more recently, Beholden, a new poem with Rita Wong, Hai Mak, Amok, playing Chinese, an interactive poem, and music at the heart of thinking, improvisations. Let's see what you got, Fred.
Thank you very much, Vincent. This is wonderful. And I thank Paul Nelson for inviting a few of us Canadians to contribute to this anthology. We were in Seattle in the fall just after the event, and so we felt it. Anyway, I don't know how many of you are on this side of the 49th parallel, other than Jamie and I, but in a couple of weeks, I hope to fly down to California to my granddaughter's graduation. But if they find out, if they hear this, if they find this reading before then, I might not be able to cross the border. So we're having second thoughts about crossing that border right now. It's a little tenuous. Anyway, I'm going to read from a thing called All Americans. I don't know if you still have things called All Americans in the States. There used to be athletes, that would get that, I guess, a kind of award thing. Anyway, I started out, this was a poem I started about 25 years ago, and I've been writing at little pieces since, called All Americans. And it started with, as a response to the Minnesota massacre of 1862, when the government had not supplied the Sioux Indians in Minnesota with the means of life, planting the potatoes to plant and so forth. And so they rebelled, and the short of it was that 38 Sioux Indians were hung at Mankato in June of 1962, I think it was. In any case, I'm going to read I'll read the first poem, and then I'll read the two pieces I wrote for this anthology. This is the first one. 1. We are all Americans. We met on the prairie. We hunt. The point is, we must send a clear message to the world. Before the outbreak, we could see squaws wandering over the prairie in search of the pomme de terre. We have shut the doors after letting the horses out. We saw white smoke, and then we lost contact with him. What we is the big stumbling block to our plan. First, we said to everybody to remain calm. These are acts that we as a species have always been capable of and carried out. Little did we think how soon we should pass through that terrible old ordeal that awaited us, this global calling card. After we had settled into our new home, those who lived in our neighborhood began to be uneasy. And so we hunt. We should not be second guessing. Someone up front shouted, "Hijacked!" We were shocked. We never thought of ourselves as the enemy. We had had no breakfast, not even a cup of tea before starting. Despite the crooked deal, we decided to make no mistakes. We would show the world that we could pass this test. Long ago, we decided to hunt down the folks, A, who committed this act, B, who owe us money, and C, who are hoodwinked on difference. So that is why we were compelled to make our way as best we could through grapevines, prickly ash, gooseberry bushes, and trees. We are the eyes in the potato heads to be looked out of. We have always done this. Then this piece last fall, 9. The fact is, the border can be smoked as if polis is an opinion, as if facts are a faith, as of an order of belief that responds to a vast ventriloquy of fear. The committee hopes the border will be one thing and not necessarily an insult to an un-American who is well aware that difference is not only Mediterranean, but an ocean to cross, a line that water ignores. Historically, the line is a panorama of a slough that gets faked as soul and the flavored accent of attitude with the nickname Kid, who is a sharpshooter of intention, which is his main stylistic error. Out on the opposite side of the street, where Whitey forces the others to encounter the turmoil of always done this, nothing is separate, it all just feels like a wide anachronistic river you put your foot in. Duck is the move, just as the plan is the body. Any action to stay out of the ditch, even if it is a Christian one, in the American grain belt it out, why take the job if television is as television does? Snow. 10. Easy to remember that we are a reservoir in which proportion gets called upon as the geometry of the Columbia River Treaty. So, flood risk management, or Fox reps muscles, just a trilateral pyramid scheme to convert trillion-acre feet to the state you're in, or the mask you wear. Even the Minnesota dirge this poem starts with flows forever. What's that you say? We are but skin and bones, tossed downstream. We keep stepping in the same river as the specified operation of entitlement. No modified flow of innocence. Easy to remember, this trait d'union is written on the banks of creeks, and this hyphen is a curve, not an equator of law. Listen to the silence. What do you hear? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, yeah, sorry, I thought your mic was stuck.
No, no. I'm here. And I will not relent. So next we hear from Mark Nowak, whose books include Shut Up, Shut Down, Coal Mountain Elementary, Social Poetics, and Again, which is forthcoming, all from Coffee House Press. Mark has been awarded fellowships from Guggenheim, Lannan, and Creative Capital Foundations. He recently wrote an introduction to Sellers Tisdale's When the Smoke Cleared, Attica Prison Poems and Journal from Duke U Press. He is the founding director of the Worker Writers School. Mark, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, Roxy and everybody from organizing this. And it's great to hear all the readers today. I feel like I used to hear especially Rodrigo and Fred read a lot and hadn't in a while. So it was a joy, everybody. I'm going to read a few new poems from this book, Again, which is really ... Again, the last word in MAGA, Make America Great Again. And it's a series of 5 Abecedarians, kind of seasonal Abecedarian prose poems. So the first section that I'll read from is from the section called Winter, and it's on the January 6th riot at the US Capitol. You'll notice in the poems a lot of carrion birds, kind of from Antigone, the flesh-eating birds. And I'll read the letters A and then 2 from the anthology, K and R. All the hats are MAGA hats. That's MAGA with 2 A's. It's agitprop after all. Barricade fences, American crows, Save America March. Yesterday, Trump tweeted, Antifa is a terrorist organization. Stay out of Washington. Law enforcement is watching you very closely. It's the 61st time he's tweeted about Antifa, BLM, Antifa thugs, Antifa scum, Antifa anarchists, Antifa androgens, etc. But this morning, it's all camouflage. It's all MAGA hats. This morning is all a sea of whiteness, an absolutely white sea. These people aren't going to take it any longer. Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody blares from the loudspeakers. American flags fly behind bulletproof glass. All American, made in America. The China virus, the scam of mail-in ballots, American barn owls. American psycho, Anglo-American, American dream, make America great again, a phrase as old as Ronald Reagan. So pure theft in American history, America with 2 A's. Everybody knows it. The smoke is rising already, rising again. The letter K. Any kind of king is still a king. Any kind of cadaver is still a cadaver. Death knows this, kinda. Undertakers undertake in it, kinda. Priests, kingmakers, queens kept by their kings. Kinships, the kingships, kingfishers, the kiss of death. Fly the flag with the king's name. Break barricades and windows shouting the king's name. All hail, Sig Heil, Oye, Oye, our king. Mandarin-headed Mandarin. Kiss the ring of the Kaiser. Kiss the ring of Caesar. Kiss the ring of the Tsar. Kamikazes, Kalishnikovs. Any kind of king is still a caliph. Any kind of king is still a Khan. Death has known this for centuries. Centuries know this, kinda. Security guards secure it, kinda. Flags with the monarch's coat of arms, chanting the king's name, shrieking the king's name again and again. Trump Towers, Trump University, Trump National Golf Club, Donald J. Trump State Park. Repeat after me. Any kind of king is still a kingdom. Dukes, oligarchs, rise, repeat, overlords, autocrats, dons. Any kind of king is still a king. And the last one from this section. If there's still an America after today, ravens will devour it. Ravens feed on garbage on the outskirts of the suburbs, follow wolves in the wilderness, peck at the remains of a roadside carcass of a deer. Great white neighbors invade the Capitol rotunda. Q shaman poses his superior posture upon the dais. Remember this. The ravens are watching. They feed on live and dead birds, bird eggs, doves and pigeons, kittiwakes and terns and murrelets, flickers and woodpeckers. Outside the Capitol building, one white mister, a red Trump 2020 scarf draped around his neck, blows a kudo horn. Another great white neighbor in a QAnon hoodie shouts, "We the people, we are the storm." Soon there will be thunder and ice, predictions of freezing rain. Everywhere there are Gadsden rattlesnakes. Everywhere there are rats. Ravens know this. They eat locusts, ants, scorpions, snails, slugs. Renegades, rebels, roadkill. A Blue Lives Matter flag rips through this early January wind. A raven whistling, or just after. And then I'm just going to read a couple sections from another one of the sequences, maybe the first few letters of the alphabet. This one is from the long poem Summer, Abecedarian 26 prose poems in alphabetical order. I call it my caps lock era, you know, when you hold and make all the letters capital, kind of like the MAGA hat and Trump's tweets. So these are all in Century School Book font, which is supposedly the closest font to the MAGA font, and all in capital letters about the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. Welcome to America, an unfinished Armageddon, active shooter drills, fire drills, false alarms. At least AI writes our thoughts and prayers now a day as we wait for another axe to fall, Allegheny arms and gunworks, anon, as Shakespeare used to say, tear gas canisters, crime scene tape, ambulances already at hand, a glass of absinthe, an envelope of anthrax, American bittersweet by the side of the road. An albatross is around our necks again. Apparently, it isn't anti-American to assemble an army of anti-Americans. American glass research, another mass shooter, another American massacre, and it isn't even August. But baby, sweet baby, the hummingbirds are buzzing by the bee balm again. The butterflies and the bees are abuzz by the black-eyed Susans, buzzing like bullets by the bitter dock. Butler Farm Show Podium, Beaver County, Pennsylvania, bomb-making materials, ballistic calculators. Believe me, this is a big, beautiful crowd. Common burdock by the side of the road. By Jove, by Joe, goodbye. Bon Jovi, buyer beware. It's bigger than a Taylor Swift concert. I'm thrilled to be back here. This is a big, beautiful Commonwealth, baby. A big, beautiful country. He wore a Demolition Ranch t-shirt. He flew his drone for 11 minutes and 52 seconds. The Eagle has landed. His motorcade arrives. Everyone is behind the 8-ball already. Everybody is being eyeballed by these aliases and encrypted accounts. Hey, Americans, I don't make the rules. The Eagle ate them. The Eagle eats English ivy, English poetry, E. coli. The ex-wives of the ex-presidents sit on the boards of directors at Exxon Oil and all the Fortune 500 companies. They have forever and they will again. My friends, my dearest dears, the Eagle has already Instagrammed everything. Eugenics, Easter, DEI, early retirement, emergency rooms, extreme weather alerts, our ultimate extinction. My friends, my dears, it's up to every red-blooded American to see the white-tailed deer in the headlights. It's either eat or be eaten. It's always been, and it will always be the American dream. And the last one. Fireworks sounds like firecrackers. It feels like forever since the 4th of July. Flames aflame, campfires, firing ranges, firing squads, shots fired from afar. See the Trump 2024 fuck your feelings flag flying, the Gadsden rattlesnake flag, blue lives matter, black flies, mosquitoes abuzz. See the rise again in Christofascism. His father said he called the police, he called the feds, he called the FBI. He made 43 visits to the local gun club. His family owned more than a dozen firearms. He raised his fist, fight, fight, fight. Field yarrow and fleabane by the side of the road. It's forever from the nearest Forever 21. It's forever from the nearest TGI Fridays, but fuck it, America first. Thank you.
Always America first. Next, we hear from John Wessick, who has written over 1 million words in poems, short stories, and novels. Hundreds of his works have appeared in journals such as the I-70 Review, New Verse, News, Patterson Literary Review, and Unlikely Stories. He is also a regional editor of the San Diego Poetry Annual, and he's going to read us something amazing right now, right?
Well, I hope it's amazing, Mark. Here's a poem that I wrote back in the Bush era from a quote by Chris Crutcher, and unfortunately, it's still relevant today. It's called Bleak November. They're building a statue of Joseph McCarthy on the Mall in Washington, D.C. A scaffold of human bones supports the structure that towers over the rubble of the Lincoln Memorial. At night, Klieg lights illuminate the scene to show the world our pride in America's homegrown despot. A flashing red bulb on the senator's head warns away low-flying aircraft. Protests have no effect. Lies fall like missiles as politicians fire bricks in the kiln of hypocrisy. Airwaves buzz with reports of well-wishers leaving tiny Eichmann figures at the statue's base. A toxic haze loiters like a pack of stray dogs. Books fuel the blast furnace that smelts wiretaps, the tortured screams and untried prisoners' tears into slag that will form the senator's bulbous nose and cruel mouth. Fiction, poetry, and science books too all go into the fires. I thought the Bible would be safe, but a girl in an Idi Amin t-shirt came with scissors to remove the offending passages. I touch this land. The spirits of freedom sprout. Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, a bounty of abolitionists, suffragists, union organizers, and soldiers who died for liberty. The blacklisted rise. David Bohm, Charlie Chaplin, Aaron Copland, John Garfield, Dashiell Hammett, Lillian Hellman, Arthur Miller, Zero Mostel, Robert Oppenheimer, Dorothy Parker, Paul Robeson, Pete Seeger, and Studs Terkel, armed with pickaxes and microphones. The legions converge to tear that abomination down.
Powerful. Tear that abomination down. Just what we needed. Just what we needed at this juncture. Before we go to the open, I am going to throw to Roxy, who is going to bookend our incredible features with some words about the anthology. Roxy, can I call on you?
Well, thank you, Sandra, and everyone for an amazing reading. Wow, I feel very thankful to you and to Mark and to John and to Jonathan and to Jeffrey and to the entire Lit Balm for your immense generosity as always and for allowing me to curate this weekend's readings. I hope that you all will return tomorrow at the same bat channel and time for another amazing reading with Petra Cuppers, Bill Lavender, and three of the book's editors, Paul Nelson, who's here today, Aliyah Abdullah Matah, and myself. I just, I wanted to say that I realized that this book, if you haven't seen it, yes, it revisits the traumas around the 2024 election with poets who were asked to help us to reimagine new forms of resistance and survival with language that, in the words of Henri Lefebvre, the situationist, changes the situation rather than merely documenting it, or at least we like to think we did. But because trauma's mechanism, alas, is repetition, I don't know, think of the return of the repressed. Freud, I guess we repressed the first 4 years of the administration too successfully. We're meeting that return with poetry. And speaking of repetition, we've had a lot of big launches around the country on Zoom for Inauguration Day with about 100 people, Seattle University, Tucson, San Francisco, where else? Cal State, Los Angeles for the AWP, a couple of packed house events in Santa Cruz, an upcoming one on May 1st at Elliott Bay Books in Seattle, right, Paul? Hopefully Sacramento and Boulder. And if you guys ever want to do one, any of you contributors, let me know. So the way that it started was Katie Sarah Zale, who's writing Sam Hamill's biography, wanted to do a book in the spirit of Poets Against the War. In the preface, she wrote, as the map of the United States filled with red on November 5th, countless people worldwide felt grief or helplessness, depression, fear. It is the task of the poet to call things by their proper names. We asked poets to respond to their feelings about the election, to reflect deeper than conscious anger. We had some pretty interesting conversations about that as 8 editors. What is the role of anger? There were a lot of Buddhist poets, editors. So the book took the shape of more or less compassionate responses. Katie reached out to Paul to co-edit it with her, and they both reached out to other editors. Paul and I have done a lot of collaborations together, and he wanted me to reach out to my network, which tends to be, I guess, more experimental. So we had a lot of interesting conversations among 8 different editors who had very different poetics, trying to be capacious and democratic in our process. And I just want to name the other 5 editors. Aliyah Abdullah Matah, Gabriela Gutierrez Imus, Robert Lashley, C. Christy White, and Teresa Whitehill. So there's over 100 poets that represent our differing styles, somewhat mirroring the kind of neighborliness we would like to practice across difference, I guess, or we're called upon to do so today. So we, as some of you know, right after the election had a very swift deadline of December 15th, and we wanted to get it out by Inauguration Day. So that's the fastest I've ever done anything in my life, 6 weeks, put out a huge collection. So I have put the link for you to order the book if you haven't, because it takes support of small presses like Carbonation Press, like Greg Bem, to be able to do things like this, to honor the massive work of putting this together at lightning speed. The book's title came from Paul Nelson, who borrowed it from Gil Scott-Heron's wonderful anthem, Winter in America. And we are working, and will be working rather, on a second edition to be published before the midterm elections in the fall of 2026. We feel prophetic that it will be winter in America still, so that's what we're calling it. So look out for that call coming by the end of this summer, and I can't wait until we're able to write at least a poem entitled Winter in America No More. So that's it. Thanks for coming, and I know that we need each other in this poetry community and these spaces to get through all of this, so thank you.
Thank you so much. That's a brilliant way to frame it all for us, and very rousing. So thank you. To kick off the open today, we have DeWitt. He has a stunner for us, I can tell you, a little sneak peek. So DeWitt, take it away.
This is called Trial by Fire. My wife, 3 rooms away, called for me to come. We were starting a new week, and I thought she was fed up with the drone of landscapers, wind rakes in the park opposite. She called again, more loudly. I stopped writing, went to see, down the hall, through kitchen and addition, where our new flat screen TV took up the wall, street sign. I called you, listen. She pointed to the TV, framed by leafy plants and matching armchairs. I heard a scrabbling, gnawing sound where we'd once had mice until an exterminator had set traps and sealed the foundation. I banged the wall, banged again. Noise stopped. They're trying to get in at the foundation. Yet even louder, noise resumed. You see, Connie said. To the right of TV, I parted tropical leaves and peered down, following the noise. Saw a power strip sparking alongside the molding, then flicker of flame. On fire, I yelled. Yanked aside chair, lifted heavy plant and pot and gave it to Connie, rushed for a glass of water, which I splashed on the only plug attached. Buzzing stopped, but flame sprang up, grew high, stronger, and as I covered it with a wet dishcloth, the cloth caught fire. Call 911. But Connie already had. Dispatcher ordered us, get out now, get outside. Left alone, how long before flames reached windowsill or ruined TV? A single policeman arrived, followed by 3 hook and ladders. We opened both front and back doors and made way for the firemen. As mom and pop retirees, we watched from our backyard. They quickly put out flames, disconnected the partially melted strip, tested for hot spots in the walls, and let us back in. Black smoke lingered. The chief and 2 other firemen crowded our space, and low ceiling, all young, beefy and tall, plus the cop. We looked up to speak. The chief took our promise to install new smoke alarms in basement, main, and 2nd floor. The cop, half joking, told us we should thank the chief for saving our lives, even if our fire had proved easy. Our floor was stained in the corner, then moved the TV to unplug the strip, then moved it back. The reek of burned plastic lingered. The power strip had shorted from water leaked from pots after Connie had watered her plants. The grinding sound had been a warning. Instead of dousing flames, I should have thrown the strip's own safety switch or run to basement and shut off the house power. I panicked instead of thinking fast. All the should-haves, could-haves, I rehearsed, wide-eyed, in our bed that night. What other lessons had I still learned?
I love that poem. One of my favorite bits is the image of DeWitt banging on the wall, expecting to intimidate the mice. I love that bit so much. Thank you. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful reading of it. Thank you. Dominique is up next. She always has a wonderful poem with a wonderful accent that makes me very envious. Dominique. Hang on, you're on mute, so we can't hear that amazing accent.
Voilà. Good morning. It feels great to be in such good company. Thank you for your readings. I feel a lot better about America today, having heard you. I'm going to read a poem from an anthology called Thump Truck, which was published in fall 2024, though it was already winter. And my piece is called Unnamed. You listen to the black dog in your sleep, speaking of dreamscapes of peril. It lists litanies of murderous melodies that make your blood boil. The is a fist of kindling scraping your veins, running away from blood clots and or fleeing the nightmare's crumbling teeth that cripple your mouth. You wake tight-jawed to a wagging of no, no, no. That's all there is to contain time. You limp through murderous alleys, each step making and marking night's forgotten scars down to the underpass where the dog turns to wolf. Cinder rain pours from eye sockets, coats inaudible words. Your feet walk you past numbered urns to the black graveyard, where garbage collectors, roofers, and hooligans, wild as the new weather, stand next to tiny white crosses with scattered dates from memory lane. Sleeves rolled up, they tell you how the dead were born from their blood and bones. Que calor la vida, the stink of it. Now you can see it, the wall. It is crimson and dripping. Thank you.
Thank you. What an amazing opening line. You listen to the black dog in your sleep. We love your murderous melodies, Dominique. Thank you. Vicky is up next. She can surprise us with a shanty. She can move us with a powerful, sad poem. I don't know what she's got for us today. Vicky, what do we got?
Hi there. What I've got for you today are 7 monosticks or monostitches, and I could never have any idea how I should pronounce it at all. I was hoping Cindy might advise me on that. But whatever they are, they're in response to the laying out of colours on a palette before you start to paint. And I found some very beautiful colour names which inspired me to write these. So the first one is Cinnabar, which is a bright red. They have the poisonous charm of oracle bones, telling us what little remains. Tangelo, a yellowy orange. Because I am on the alert for whispers of high energy around each corner. Jonquil, yellow. So much glowing exuberance as they watch themselves in the sparkling water. Inchworm, soft yellowy green. Fear is stalking us as we take a stroll. Greek roof, a deep, vibrant blue. It's not what it seems, but there are times when you must feel the pleasure of promise as it permeates the air. Ink, dark blue with purple undertones. Floating with images of the past, but no one can say why. Veronica, light bluey purple. The evening threatens to bruise us all. And that's the collection, that's the palette.
They're beautiful. I love that you ended with Veronica. That's my middle name. And the alliteration, the pleasure of promise as it permeates the air. So many good things in those. Thank you so much, Vicky. What a great project.
Thank you.
We have the delightful Mike Folds from his crazy kind of futuristic background that I first remember the first time I saw him. So Mike, you'll have to unmute and let us know what you've got.
What a great reading. I'm really glad I tuned in. I wasn't sure if it was going to be this night or the next last night of or Saturday of April, although this may have been it. This is called April Fool. Tuesday, so much to do. The week starts slowly. That was Monday, by the way. We who are allergic to trivia to find something worthwhile in TV news. I'm sorry. To trivia, try to find something worthwhile in TV news and quickly turn off the box, preferring private thoughts to public interests and drivel about popular and unpopular figures, or spin on misguided spending for things like a Proud Boys museum at the Smithsonian, while discounting the value of diversity at the Venice Biennale. Would it have been so hard to just build a log cabin on White House grounds to memorialize January 6th? Just another Tuesday AM, and already a few more steps into the pig trough. I was born here, but my father was not. I've locked my doors, but that doesn't mean they can't be bashed in. Would they cuff an old man and take him away? Where would they send him? Iceland always seemed a great place to visit. Is that on their list? Would he have a choice? Now that that resource is in rapidly shrinking supply. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, a few more
Mhm.
steps into the pig trough. Thanks so much, Mark. It's so lovely to see you again.
And you as well. You
Thank you.
all.
We are finishing with the Bobbsy twins, Cindy and Bob. So, Cindy, what have you got for us? I'm sure something wonderful. It's always something memorable and wonderful.
I'm going brief today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in my briefs. I didn't
Are you sure?
because I know where your mind goes. I'm going to read 2 haiku. I wrote them about 2 weeks ago. First one, Trump's America, where it seems that any month can be the cruelest. The T.S. Eliot. The next one is going to be published in a little haiku blog called Sense and Sensibility. And it's actually true. Post-cataract surgery. So why does Trump still look freaking orange?
I love that. I'm sorry to hear about your cataract surgery, but I do like the fact that colors might appear different, but Trump's orange will always be the same orange. Thank you, Sin, badass poet from Brooklyn. And we can't finish an open without the kitchen laureate himself. Bob, it's great to see you here. What's going on in the kitchen, and what have you got for us to take away today in our hearts to kind of carry us through the next 48 hours?
What I have is even briefer than what Cindy read. Love. If it was love, there would have been light, too distant to be seen.
Oh, ruminate on that little tragedy right there. Only Bob can end an open in the perfect way. So back to you, Mark. I know I'll see you all again tomorrow, but Mark, I'm sure you've got a final summing up somewhere? No? Did Mark drop off?
Is the reading tomorrow? Sorry. Is the reading tomorrow, same time, same place?
Same time, same place, as Roxy said. Same time, same bat channel. So we will all be here, and please feel free to sign up for the open. And I guess I will have to say in my not so Mark dulcet tones, in my broad Australian accent, that we've loved having you so much on Lit Balm, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And amazing the things that poetry can do. The fact that so many people here have felt a lot better from listening to the incredible poetry in the anthology makes such a difference. So thank you to all involved. Thank you to the amazing featured writers today, to a rocking open mic, and see you tomorrow.
Rise and resist.
Yeah, rise and resist. See ya.
Mañana.
Thank you.